This is the Awkward Handshake, a podcast about networking, business, and what really happens in the room.
We're unpacking the good, the bad, and the awkward so you can build better connections and get paid.
Let's get into it.
Before we start the episode, we just want to do a little bit of an announcement that there is a protest going on just down the street from Mary's studio. And so if you hear little beep beeps going on, it is in support of some good things. So just, wave your little flags and know that we are not going to stop recording just because people are peacefully protesting.
Actually, we're going to really fucking fully support that.
Yeah. So it might get a little, beep beep at times. That is not us swearing in the background.
I'm just going to say it out loud. We're an anti-fascist podcast, so if you don't like that, maybe you have the year that you deserve. I said that without swearing. Go forth and fuck off. Yes, I am going to keep that in the episode.
Well, there isn't a good segue from that. But
so sorry.
It's all right. So this episode, we're going to talk about, were they lucky or was it their network? Mm-hmm. And so this one kind of came up as a little bit of a wild card for the last episode of this launch week. But we have been to enough things where you see people who seem to walk out of the room with tons of connections, or their pipeline is always full. Business is always sunny. They land client after client. They get the big deal. They get a good speaking gig. And it can be hard to judge for yourself how to react to that. But also, was it just luck or is it from work that they've put in? And that's kind of a question you and I ask when we get in the car on the way home and we're like, oh my God, did you see so-and-so got X as well? They've already gotten all these good things and now they got this. And let's sit with that for a bit on the drive home.
Can I be cynical for a minute?
Yeah.
Because I'm also usually the one who's like,
but did they?
I like to pick apart the difference between somebody posturing, which definitely happens. I mean, who doesn't want to look good, right? But between people who are inflating things versus really genuinely celebrating something. And I think you and I've gotten pretty good at telling the difference between the two. I think if you're out of practice with socializing, it might be hard to tell the difference between that sometimes. But the emotion that we came into for this episode was envy or jealousy. Those are not bad emotions. They're symptomatic emotions. They tell you you want something. And I think that's the more important thing is even if somebody's posturing and I did this, and you're like, damn it. To be able to look at that and say oh, because I want it is important, because I think that will help you get further faster.
We were talking before the show, you landed a really big speaking gig.
You did.
And I was so excited for you. And then the second thought was, well, I want one. And then you laughed because I said, then the next internal voice was but you didn't apply to anything. So what do you expect? And I was like, oh yeah, good point. Okay. I can't really complain yet.
Yes.
But when it comes to were they lucky or was it network? I think we both agree it tends to be a bit of both.
Yes.
For someone's success.
Yes. And a big part is, what did they say? Luck is 90% preparation or some saying like that. I'm getting that totally wrong. I know it. But you set yourself up for success. And I just really feel like it means you literally have to show up. People who don't show up,
don't get lucky.
What? You don't. What do you think is going to happen? It's those memes where people, it's dating it's bringing dating again.
I know, because all I can hear is the Pharrell Williams song, The Get Lucky.
Oh, yeah.
To stay up all night to get lucky.
It's when the people say, oh, I want to meet the love of my life, but can they knock on my door because I'm home in my pajamas at 9 and I've got my pint of ice cream and Netflix is on? And they're like, how come I don't meet people? But business people do the same thing.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, but it's cold outside, or I don't feel like going. And here you and I have gone out and done the thing. This week, that event, it was so cold this week. Yeah. We were down, the wind was whipping. It was so freaking cold. Oh my God. Yeah. It was get in the car.
But you're beep, beep, get in.
Get in, bitch. We're going networking. I love it. You have a really great story for this. About art students?
Yeah, so when I was in art school, everybody would talk about Damien Hirst because it was this myth going around. So he's obviously a huge artist, that he had a lucky break. He had a show and it just happened to be that Saatchi of Saatchi Gallery walked in and was this. And then his career took off. And so art students were kind of taught you can't bank on anything. Just have the show and something will maybe happen. And if you get lucky, you can have a career like that. But what actually happened is that he had a student show and the professor organized and had a network and brought in Saatchi and Rosenthal and all the other big New York gallery people. And they didn't actually like his work. No artist got picked up at that show. And then 2 years later, Damien Hirst had he had a solo show and Saatchi came to that one. And so there's information we don't have, but I would guess that he stayed in communication enough to get Saatchi to come again
to the show.
And Saatchi, that's when he then first did his like dead animal in a cage or in a case thing. And Saatchi saw that and said, I want this, and then he took off. But it wasn't the luck that you think. It's not that dream client who just walks in, like a romance novel. Like it tends not to happen. There's a lot of building, but when you're the third character, the side character, you don't see that. So you just get to see somebody meet someone at a networking event. And then the next time you see them, they're like, oh, yeah, I landed a 5-figure deal. And you're like, well, where's mine? Like, where's my tall, dark, and handsome to go?
I keep thinking, like, oh, it ruins the fairy tale. Like, the Cinderella story is actually full of preparation.
Yeah, well, and the drudge work. But that's in the Cinderella story, too.
But it's also in the Cinderella story.
She did have to work a whole lot.
But we think about the fairy godmother showing up and then the glass slipper being put on her foot. And meanwhile, the poor girl's being tortured.
But the question I always asked, because I grew up on fairy tales, was like, why did she have one? Like, why did she come then? Like, is this standard? Did they all have one? Like, or is it like, oh, poor somebody needs assistance, and you don't really want to be the pity person that somebody has to come save you.
God, you just turned Cinderella to a pity story. That is a first. I've never heard anyone say that before. That's amazing.
Well, in world building, right? They didn't set precedents. Did they all have one? How did she get the writer, the baby writer in me was like, wait, it didn't explode. Like, you can't just drop that ball. But yes, we don't get fairy godmothers, but we can prepare. And I do think you could almost say that good connectors could be fairy godmothers. Because in our chat with Nedra coming up, like we talked about, you are kind of when you get to be a connector, you do get to play fairy godmother or matchmaker.
Yes.
But you have to trust the person. Like, you have to be in connection with them.
Yes.
Which is where some of the work is. And we've gone wildly off. But that's fine.
No, I think it all fits so beautifully, because one of my notes for us for this episode was about being generous, because we have talked about how many times have we seen people wanting something for nothing?
Yeah.
And I think the fantasy is that the fairy godmother magically appears and grants you this wish you didn't even know you wanted. And you're like, what? Oh my goodness. Now I'm going to the ball and like all the good things are happening. And look, I didn't have to do anything other than get through this drudgery. And then,
like South by Southwest isn't just going to randomly invite me to come speak. And I'll open my inbox and go, oh, me? You found me?
You have to submit the talk.
God damn it.
And I did. And then there was like, a little unexpected. I didn't think that they were going to say yes, but yeah, they did. But also the things that went into that talk submission are years of labor.
Yeah.
And so
I'm sure they did some digging into you as well and looked at who are your connections and what is your presence and what do you have to offer. And
they had 300 submissions and they chose 10.
Wow. You're an A++ student.
I try. I'm so excited. I want brisket. Everybody knows. I'm like, when you live in a place, there's always something special. And when I lived in Austin, the one thing I miss is smoked Texas style brisket. There's nothing like it. So
you don't even care about being on the stage. You're just there for the brisket.
I'm there for the brisket. Oh my goodness. I will have reports on brisket, but so this would not be the first time I have been to South by. I used to go all the time when I was there. And this will be the first time in a while since I have been back. And this notion of generosity is very apparent in an environment like that. You get a lot of heavy hitters who go there. It's a place to see and be seen. And on a local networking standpoint, like the stuff that we do on sort of a weekly basis around here, the stakes are significantly lower and honestly less glamorous. Definitely. But the notion of networking so that you build relationships instead of just trying to extract from somebody to get their best contacts because you haven't put in all the reps. You know, like when you have a really great contact with somebody, you want to preserve their relationship with other people too. Like it's a two-way street and with really great contacts. And so you're not just going to just, here, take everybody, you know, like that. You're sort of abusing access to people. I wonder if more and more people are going to start guarding their Rolodexes just a little bit more. I know you and I have started doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, we connect a lot of people with a lot of other people.
And not in a mean way.
No, but like if I have recently, because of all the speaking I've been doing, I've recently been introduced and now have people literally in my phone who are very important people. And I'm not just going to give out someone's phone number. I'd be so pissed if they did that about me.
Yeah.
But like if the introduction is proper and it should happen, the introduction will happen.
Yes.
But I think like if you don't have anything yet to bring to the table, I think that's where it gets hard. And it's like the thing you do have to bring to the table is showing up consistently. And I think people forget how valuable an asset that is. Like you can be the nicest person in the world, but if I see you once every 5 years, you're just the nicest person in the world.
Yeah, and I think by showing up repeatedly, you're kind of allowing for better and more repeatable results, which is better than luck, I would say, because you have more control. It can come more often. If you have systems in place, then you can kind of turn up the tap when you need to and turn it off a little bit when you're like, whoa, way too many clients in the pipeline right now. Let's slow it down. But then I know what I need to do to turn it back on and get more people. In terms of like the jealousy thing too, or just feeling like somebody is so lucky when they go to things, you and I have been to events with people and we'll walk out and they'll be like, that was the best ever. Of like, everybody was amazing. And you and I have like just shared a glance to be like, were we in the same room? Because that was terrible. Like that was not what we needed. That was pretty standard. And I think it helps then if you're going with other people and some are just gushing over how amazing it was, all the cool people that they met. And you were like, I must have talked to absolutely the worst people in the room. I didn't get anything out of it. I think it's important to remember standards. Everyone has different standards.
Yes.
Some people are just content, like a golden retriever. They're just happy to be there.
Yes.
And like anybody is a good person to hang out with. And you might be more like a cat. And you're like, didn't meet anybody that could help me or that I liked. Going back to our last episode, like it just might, everybody's different.
Everybody's different. You're allowed to be different. And you and I have had different reactions on different nights, just depending on how energized or not energized we are.
Or who we talk to.
Mm-hmm. And then there's some events or communities where we know that there are going to be people we really enjoy seeing. And so we're like, I didn't get like a whole lot of juicy leads or anything out of that. But the nurturing of the relationships and the FaceTime with these people is so critically important. And those activities stacked up again and again and again over time, I believe is what starts to form this picture of luck that we see with people, where it's like, how do they know all those people? Well, they know them because they put in the sweat equity to make those relationships work. You and I got some compliments this week at an event where somebody who apparently has seen us a few places was like, oh, I see you two, and we do all these things. And it was kind of like, is this really happening right now? And I think people forget how much visibility, not on social media, but in real life matters. I think I have been posting significantly less on social than I used to. I mean, well, I know I have. And we got tagged in a couple of things from a couple of people from that event, but I didn't put out any social. No. And I still have people in my email inbox. This notion of luck, I thought it was so good when we were like, let's talk about it in Premiere Week, because the business world just gets so small so quickly. And I know I keep saying that in all these episodes, but it's true. And when you see people putting in the sweat equity, you can tell how serious they are. And that has like a direct correlation to revenue streams and more leads, and people talk. And those those of us who've been showing up regularly for each other over the past year, we've all been pretty honest with each other. We're like, yeah, 2025 was a really weird year.
Yeah.
Like some good things happened, some bad things happened, but overall, like it was definitely not the easiest, maybe not the worst ever, but it was not easy. And because we know that, we're like, oh, how do I help you? Or when a good contact comes up, they're a lot more likely to say, hey, I found somebody. Do you want to talk to them? Or if we host an event and we're like, we're doing a coffee thing, and they're like, yes, I'm coming. I think those are the things you're looking for, and they create those lucky situations, kind of like Sachi walking into your gallery show, which is like great. It's just Sachi.
Just happens to
Just
come
happens
by.
to me. Like, who's the Sachi of business around here?
Oh, well, we know who it is.
Do we?
Well, for certain people looking for a job, yes, we know who it is.
Oh, yes, that Sachi.
For people looking for a job, there's a man in town that, I mean, if people bought him drinks, he would be so drunk. But like everyone wants to go speak to that man. There's a line to go see him, and he's so sweet and so kind. And they should be talking with his assistant,
who's completely free. I mean, we had a great time
free.
catching up with her.
Yeah, because nobody wanted to talk to her.
No.
She could do the same thing.
But we were like, hey, do you want to come on the podcast later? Yep. See you later. And people are like, oh, you're so lucky. No, we're not lucky. We just talk to people.
Well, I think that leads us well into, one of our segments is just like how to get good collabs, because it's not always about clients. Like some of these really good, lucky things can be collaborations. And like you said, like we hit up somebody and they said yes to coming on the podcast. And it was mostly because we had chatted with her several times. We showed up to things that they put on. We went and talked to her when nobody else was talking to her. And she had a lot more power than most people assume.
Yes.
And she has the time.
Like the usual thing is not just be nice to the people who are around the famous person, but also to make sure you give your ask there, because they're usually the ones who have more say over the calendar.
Yep.
And have more ready information on what's going on. It's always so interesting watching people navigate each other in the room.
Yep.
You'll see the same people like group up together. It's wild. It's totally wild. I really think that it's just work. It's not luck. Like when we're talking about collaboration, I feel like what people are looking for is a sense of belonging. The way that you trade lists, networking gives you the ability to trade that list. For you and me right now, it's showing up with like getting on podcasts and hosting people on the podcast and doing all kinds of things. I love that you have a really big goal in 2026.
Yeah. And I learned about it online. Somebody was using it as a technique. And I was like, I had done it before, but I hadn't really put it into words. And it is to borrow a big ass list.
Yeah.
It's the same with like getting on a podcast, because you have all of the listeners now. It is getting on to somebody's newsletter. And the reason it works better is, one, they've already done all of the work to gather that fan base who trust them, would follow them into Mordor, and then they are saying, hey, I met this cool person and I want to introduce you. That's so much better than you like necessarily paying for a sponsored spot, because the trust is a little bit less there. People know there's money exchanged.
Right.
It's better. It's easier than you trying to get all of those same fans yourself through your own efforts.
Which is very tricky these days. I think that this is going to lead to new strategies that people are going to start doing by this time next year heavily.
Yeah.
Like I think anybody who's smart enough who's listening right now is like, maybe I should try to figure out how to do that. But that collab, to borrow the big ass list, means you have to develop a relationship.
Yes.
Somebody's not just going to hand over their list to you. I have somebody who's sitting in my DMs right now. You're going to know exactly who it is. And they sent me this link and they're like, hey, can you help publicize the event that I'm throwing? And I'm like, I want to help you, but all you do is come and ask me to help publicize an event for you. It's never a two-way street.
Yeah.
And also,
it's not the right audience.
Also not the right audience for sure.
Like your fan base is not her fan base. So it's like,
no. That would be an example of not networking gone bad, but networking misplaced.
Yeah.
And just also, not knowing enough about business timelines and pipelines and funnels and stuff, which is a whole other business problem there in that situation. But it makes me think about this thing where I think she has looked at other people and it's so lucky. It's like, no, that's not luck. That's actually years of repetition.
Yeah.
And some things go well and some things don't. And
I think too, all the collaborations that I've done in the past, like the best ways to build them, it's either around mutual respect for each other and for the audience.
yeah.
Like, I understand your audience. I want the best for them as well. And here's how I can help them. And that you and the collaborator understand that. Or friendship, which is similar to respect, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think when it fails is, yes, making it transactional, a one-way street. I think if people are listening to this and want to, how do we get on those big podcasts? How do we get on this big list? You will have to come at it from, what am I actually giving them?
Yes.
And how am I actually helping them? Because that's the way that you're going to have to position it.
Which is why things like cold pitching yourself on podcasts usually fails miserably.
Yeah.
I'm always amazed at how many service provider businesses there are where they're like, we will place you on podcasts. And some of them they do.
Because that's what PR agents are for.
Yeah. I mean, a good podcast placement agency will have relationships with podcasts and they will place you where you should belong. But there are a lot where they're just cold pitching you constantly. And I had a client many, many, many moons ago who had paid an incredible sum of money to somebody to pitch him on podcasts. And she sure did. She went out and she pitched him and he got on a whole bunch of podcasts, and not a one of those podcasts had anything to do with his ideal client.
Yeah.
So when I started questioning, okay, what's the return on this? What are you getting out of this? And he was so mad because really had to think about it and recognize that maybe he had spent $10K in the wrong place.
Oof.
I think like networking is such an easy way to figure your shit out before you start dumping money thinking that buying your way into something is going to solve the problem, because networking is going to show you your bullshit real fast. I mean, the feedback's right in front of you. Either they want to talk to you or you can literally see their eyes glazing over like, how do I get out of this conversation right now?
It's me laughing knowing that is my face. Can't filter it.
When we were at something recently at the holidays, and it wasn't a networking event, but we did bump into a whole bunch of people, and you were concerned about health, and so you had a mask on your face just because there were a lot of people, and lots of people equals lots of germs, and there's been a nasty strain of flu going around, and honestly,
I didn't want the vomiting flu.
No, and you're super smart. And we were walking around and we bumped into somebody, and and I'm able to like hold it together, and I was like, thank God Megan has a mask on her face. Because I was like, you wear the captions on your face. I mean, it's just a ticker tape of captions. And I could see your eyes, and I was like, I don't know exactly what's going on her face right now. But the other party did not. Thank goodness. Because
I was playing it so cool, too.
No, girl. It wasn't cool at all. It was brilliant, though.
Oh.
Well, let's talk about getting good leads, because I think people think there's luck in that, too.
Yeah. And, it really comes like, what is a good lead? And like you've mentioned, where it kind of feels like if you go in not knowing anything, you're kind of stumbling around. You're trying to figure out who this person is, what you can get. Where is this conversation going? Like coupling, where is this relationship going? Having to answer that question. What I always think of is like how to get good leads is about being curious, because like we said in the last episode, you don't know, this is your first time meeting this person. You know nothing about them. You don't know what they need. You don't know who they know. You don't know really where they are in their business or what problems they're having. And so I always think that like the best thing to know, the best thing to do is just actively listen.
Yes.
And most people are not trained in that. But there was this weird study that came out that said, especially like in sales calls too, if you can let the client do 80% of the talking, they feel like it was such a good conversation. So generally, I kind of try to, as much as my ADHD self can, like sit back and be like, tell me more. What about that?
Yeah.
How is that going?
Yeah.
And just kind of let them like dump it all and then be like, you're like sifting through and you're like, oh, wait, this person, or, oh, you're trying to build that. That's really interesting. Have you heard about this thing? Or like, tell me more about that conference you went to. Yeah. Like just before we got on the call, like we had made a new connection, or I'd made a new connection, and they were like posted this big event.
Oh, it's so exciting.
And then it was like, oh, and they're posting the event to be in connection with another event. And then we're like, we didn't even know about this event. But like, if you're not curious to get to know people, I think it's really hard to know who's a good lead, who's a good collaborator, because you just don't know them as a person in any way.
I agree with you. I think you and I have seen so many people just talk at you when you're at an event, and you're just like, it's like word bullets coming at you.
Yes.
Where you're like, oh God. Make it stop.
Well, and generally, because the difference then, because I can hear people being like, but that's what you just said, is to let them talk. But in that case, they almost have like a script.
It's the script. Yes.
They're like desperate, and they're like,
more
"Do you know somebody?"
specifically, yeah, it's this
I
desperate
need X
script.
now.
Yes. Or they're like, what do you do? Can you do? Or usually it's like, will you hire me?
Yep.
And I'm like, hey, I'm not going to answer that question with a drink in my hand. And at this particular event, delicious hors d'oeuvres with prosciutto.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't interrupt my prosciutto time. We can all tell what Mary's motivations are here at cured meats. But it makes me feel so much like that social skills, again, are such a huge factor in all of this. It's like we've all never left high school before. And as much as you hate to admit it, I know I do, but likability factor matters a lot.
Yeah.
And so should I listen 80% of the time as much as possible? Yes. But I think like if you have two people who are actively trying to let the other person be heard, it ends up being an equal conversation. Is what happens. And it gives a chance for a person and their authentic self to come through. Because if you're just talking and talking and talking, like usually it comes off a little weird. And I can tell, I'm like, I know that this is not this person's personality.
Yep.
I know, and I'll watch them talk at me and I will cut them a lot of compassionate slack. And I will notice all the time if I am socially carrying a conversation. Like I am well aware that I can have a good conversation and help people feel at ease.
Yep.
And if I am doing the emotional management in that conversation, I do clock that information. Because if you want me to hire you for service, am I going to have to manage that even though I'm paying you? And I don't really want to do that.
I think too, I think it's getting that sense of, is the person, like you said in the last one, do you actually like the person? Are they interesting? Because there's been things at other events that we've gone to where you're like, I want to leave you so badly right now, but you are not taking any of the cues. And I don't know how to get out of this besides either pretending I see someone or just having to tell you, that's great, I'm going to go talk to somebody else now. Have a nice night.
Thank God I haven't had to do that too much, but that has happened before where I'm
we're
like,
just like I'm not getting anything out of this. And it's not because we're not trying hard enough. It's like, you are not socially.
You're just not socially adept. Usually what I end up saying is like, well, it was so good to meet you.
Oh, I need to do that.
I have to step over here for a moment. Like, I hope you meet who you're looking for, and then I just like move on.
I love that it sounds so nice, and then it also is like, oh, bless your heart. Help you meet who you're looking for. Because it is not me.
But yeah, I don't think that when it comes to getting good leads that it's necessarily luck. I mean, could you argue that there's a little luck in life? Yes, of course.
Because they happen to come.
They do happen to come, but also you're a lot more likely to statistically up your odds of meeting the right leads by showing the fuck up in the right rooms too. That's not magic. That's just work.
But I think it requires being aware as well, because we've seen some people put down, they've gone to so many, like more events than we go to. 3 times as many events as we go to.
Totally.
But they don't do any introspection to be like, what was the ROI? Is the person I want even in these rooms? Because you and I have clocked that person is not in those rooms, but they go to one like almost every day. And you're like, what are you doing?
Somebody like starts in the morning and then afternoon and evening. I think too there's sort of that.
Fairy godmother is never coming for that.
No, the fairy godmother can't find you because you're too busy hopping around. You don't
You're
stay
in the
still.
wrong place.
You don't stay still long enough for fairy godmother to show up. I think that's always an interesting thing. And I keep thinking in this moment, I know it's like a little bit off topic from luck, but I do think it's a part of luck in a weird way. And there are natural ways that each of us is wired, whether it's nature, nurture or maybe woo-woo things. You know, if you are not a morning person, why would you keep going to that B&I group that meets at 6 in the morning? Like, you can barely function at 6 in the morning. Like, you're not at your best. Like, why would you do that? And so and on the opposite end, like, I think it's fair to say that if it's a happy hour event, and you and I have talked about this already on some of the episodes this week, and you're like, I am no good after a certain point in the day, then maybe you just don't go to those. And the thing is that you will notice good people know other good people. So if you're consistently going to the places where you can shine brightest, you will meet the good people. They will inevitably know the other people. Introductions get made from there. I think we get stuck in this quantity equation, like it has to be more. And
that was what we just said in the last episode.
Well, we did. Damn it.
It's more of the right ones, though.
Qualification. More. Right ones. Do as I say, not as I do. Or do as I do, not as I say. Maybe in this case, I don't know.
Okay, well, let's be honest, though. We spent all of last year going to a horrendous amount of things.
Yeah, we did.
And we've been having the discussion.
Yes.
Just this week where we're like, you know what? We're going to start to pare it back because we've made some big decisions about these are the spaces that we like the best, where we find the right people. And so I think you do, though, need to have that period of more, quantity to find, you got to go to the one extreme to then come back to the middle.
Yeah.
Because probably where most people are starting, and I'm sorry if this is you, you're at the other end of the spectrum, which is like, I don't get out of I don't go to any. So you kind of have to like ramp up to a certain point before you can like ease a little bit to make smarter choices.
I think you have to know the boundaries of the room.
Yes.
You and I found that last year.
Yes.
There was more than one day when I was going through the calendar and I was like, dear Lord, did we do this? And we had like an evening one, and then the next day breakfast, and then an evening, and then we went to something the next day, and it was like, I cannot believe I lived that week. That week is insane. And then there were coffee chats on that week on top of it. And and it was like, I remember absolutely hating that and knowing, no, cannot do that ever again.
But that was a season of your business.
Yes. And also
it served a purpose.
It served a purpose, and it was a learning curve to know this is too much.
Yep.
And I think some people will sometimes say, oh, I know that's too much. And I'm like, do you know that it's too much? like if you're in a season of, I need to generate some visibility and leads, maybe you do need to talk to more people than you normally would. And maybe you're going to have a week where you're tired, and you make sure that you don't do that for a second week in a row. Yeah. And maybe you don't ever do it again. But because those events happen to be happening when they do, and they're not, maybe some of them don't come around very often. It might just be that week, because that's what happened that week. It was like, I think there was like a special thing, and then there was something that happens once a month, and then there was something that only happens once a quarter, and they just all happen to happen at the same time.
And we're like, get the coffee, put the big girl pants on. We're going. Get in, bitch.
We're going networking. But all of that has stacked up in layers over time, where now we walk into a room and the people are like, Megan, Mary. They're like, I need to talk to you.
Yeah. And you're like, oh my God.
You're like, okay.
Made it.
I made it, Mom. I want to move into our next segment, too, about you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. It's important.
Yeah, because, we've kind of touched on it, but like, what does reciprocity look like, and what to do when you feel that jealousy? Because I think a lot of people put on success filters. Yeah. Like, we have them on Instagram, but you see it in real life where you meet somebody at an event and they're only going to tell you the good things. I mean, you and I are ADHD. We're a little more honest. We won't reveal everything, though, because you don't want to look like the business is on fire. But like, we're not ones to just be like, that's good. Yeah. But we meet people who are kind of like very eager to share everything good, but in a way that's kind of like crowing about it. And you're kind of like, oh, okay. Just had to like drop all of those on me like right now. Like, but I feel like it helps that if somebody comes out of something and says, that was the best one ever, I got everything I want, is that them putting on a success filter so that they feel like it was worth it.
Well, I think things come down to like, nobody wants to feel or look stupid. And there is a lot of ego in business. Yeah. There's no if, and, or but around that.
Because you are the business.
You are the business. You are the brand for a very long time, at least in the types of businesses that we run. None of us are running like franchises or something like that. And we definitely don't do MLM.
If I had less morals, I would, because they work. I would have a cult. Instead, I have a fan base.
You say tomato, I say tomato. I really feel like when we look at somebody and we end up wondering, like, how are they getting all those clients? You have to always realize that it's not happening in a vacuum, and the result that they're getting is directly related to their ability to maintain relationships through social skills. All of the people who, or they have some, honestly, like, incredible brand, and the brand does the talking for them, and the brand manages that pipeline for them. Those are usually people who are very much further along in their journey and have been doing it a long time. I would argue people who started businesses during COVID do not have that luxury.
No.
I don't care how much revenue that you magically generated like a unicorn for a couple of years. I know not a one who started during COVID who hasn't been having a bit of a hiccup since end of 2024 through 2025 into the beginning of 2026. Everybody has them. It is the first cycle change that they are going through.
And I'd say hiccup or pivot. They're undergoing their first pivot.
First pivot.
Which is terrifying if you haven't done one before.
Yes. You have to adjust something at some point.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah.
You have to.
They're never fun. They never come at good times. They scare the pants off you.
The market has shifted. Everything's disrupted by AI right now, and it has a trickle-down effect. And you're seeing the trickle-down effect trickle down into spaces where people are like, oh, I'll be fine. And it's like, actually, it's coming for you.
And that's a great time to network.
It's such a good time to network and to find out who exhibits resiliency when you talk to them, who's being curious and figuring out problems as opposed to somebody who shows up and just complains or is clearly like really mad at the world right now. And I'm like, I get it. You're mad. There's somebody you know who I'm thinking of right now. And I'm like, wow, he's so angry these days. And he's completely turning off his entire community. I mean, it's kind of mind-boggling, really.
It's interesting to watch because I've only ever seen it online, like when memberships die.
Yeah.
That slow death when you realize
he's
everyone's
doing
like,
it in person, in real life,
on stage. And you're just like, wow. Actually doing that
with a microphone.
But I think that's like the you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Like he doesn't care about the audience. He doesn't care about his people.
Well, that's apparent now.
It's apparent now.
And I don't think it was as apparent before, unless I was just having my delusional rose-colored glasses on for the longest ass time. But I did not think it was apparent before. But you tell me if it was, because you're better at that than me.
Yeah.
No. Damn it.
I got the sense that he liked the position. It is a position of power, and people like to be in a position of power where they feel like they are controlling someone else's potential success and future. And look at me, I've organized this and brought you into a room, and I am your gatekeeper. So that is what I always got from it.
Dickety duck, girl. You need a whole new business. Can I birth you a whole new business on this podcast right now? Because
just bring me along, and I don't check if your date's a good one. I'll check if the business collab will work.
Yes. Like the walking bullshit meter.
It all comes, I mean, it just keeps coming back to like that human connection. Are you willing to show up in whatever way that looks like for the person that you want to either have as a client or you want to collaborate with? Because honestly, this last year, my foundations got shook a bit with people that we associated with, and I thought the bar was on the floor, and they somehow still limboed under it, you know, and I was like, all I ask is that join my mailing list. And it's somebody, you know, who's like, I have sent you collaborators, I've sent you clients, I've sent you leads, and this is all I ask. And they couldn't do that. And it just became apparent of like, okay, the door is shut now.
Yeah.
You don't get the access to the list. I'm not checking in. I'm not seeing how your business, because you don't ever do it for me. You only call when you need me. You only want. Gate goes down.
Yeah.
And so the best collaborations that we've found are ones where the person genuinely cares about your success and your audience, which I think is, again, I think it should be so simple, but it's people's capacity to care is quite low.
It's hard. And I'm listening to you talking, I'm just like, yes, preach. And at the same time, I'm also thinking on like a really practical note, because I can like hear someone's thoughts out there while they're listening to this, and they're like, you want me to care how much about other people? And I've got so many things. And I'm thinking, it's really not that much. I mean, when you look at how much you or I do on a daily basis, I'm not only thinking about other people doing stuff for them. No, hell no. But I genuinely care if somebody has a good connection, person, or if something comes across my desk and I think of them, I make sure it gets sent to them. Am I great at sending emails on time right now? No, I am not. My email is where things go to die right now for me, but I make sure that somebody gets the message somewhere, somehow. If I do that enough times for somebody, because I'm going to make the connection anyways, and if I don't put the connection together, the connector in me kind of gets a little antsy, like it feels weird to not do it. I don't feel right. And so I will make those connections, but there does come a point where after so many connections, I'm like, and you need to learn to fish for yourself. A lot of times, if somebody doesn't take action on something I do for them, usually they just like continue to peter out. And that's usually when like the energy pull to put them in touch with somebody just it's like a flame that dies out. I don't really know how else to describe it, but I know I'm not alone. I know you have this feeling too, and other connectors we talk with, super connectors, have the same feeling too. And I think it's because when you have people who are actively engaged and making change and growth, that like your energies all exist kind of like in the same bubble on the same plane. And some people can't hang in that for very long, and so they don't. But yeah, I'm with you. I stopped feeling bad about it. It's hard to stop feeling bad about it though.
Yes. And I think too, like you mentioned, like how much do we care? So I do know from my therapist, ADHD, like incredible empathetic capacity. Like, I mean, I anthropomorphize everything and I talk to all my furniture because I care about it. But I think for us, it's like going through the LinkedIn feed.
Yeah.
Not all of it. Just skimming. If someone has done something amazing, letting them know. If we see them at an event, I'm probably going to then go check their social. Like, oh yeah, I haven't seen you in a while. Let me see what you're up to. And then as a follow-up, be like, so nice to see you last night. Oh my God, you're opening a brick and mortar. That's amazing. They don't care that you missed it 3 months back. They're like, you cared. And I feel like the bar is so low that if you do just that, you would be amazed by how many people are like, oh my God, we should have a coffee chat because you cared and nobody else. I'm speaking into a vacuum. You were the one who was like, good job, gold stars.
Yeah.
So you could do a little experiment. I mean, I have systems. We'll talk about them later.
You have a great system. I'm winging it, flying by the seat of my pants. Like,
I'm a control freak.
Of this. Let me try a little of that. And you're like, I have it all organized.
I have it all organized in a table with the reminders on everything, and I'm very strategic.
Teach me your
I'm
ways.
the velociraptor, like crafty. I'm clever. I'm coming for you. I want you.
You watched me do it just today, where I was like, oh shit, I need to send a text message to them. I forgot to do that 5 days ago. Let me do that now. You figure out what works.
I would say, like, if you're just starting out, think of the people, start with your existing network. You already have them. Who are the ones that you kind of want to reconnect with and reach out?
Can you make a little of your own luck? I think that's really the question. I mean, that's what you're doing, right?
Because the craziest things happen. Again, the universe is cheeky. I have had a lot where I have checked in with somebody and they'd be like, I was just going to email you because this thing landed in my lap and I thought of you. And you're like, oh my God, I just got a deal from that. So I would go dopamining, go send out 5 emails this week and see what comes back.
Well, I think thank you for giving me a wonderful segue, because my closing word was reciprocation. I feel like that's what that is you are kicking off a reciprocation.
Yes.
Process of back and forth. And so it does not have to be these giant grand gestures, these small, thoughtful acts.
Authentic, yes.
And authentic acts. And it is not oh, it's so good to see you. Your haircut looks so nice the other night. Can you help me publicize my thing? No, that's not the message. No. But other connectors will reward you for being a better connector. You don't have to be a super connector. No. But not checking out and knowing what's going on and not being like, oh my goodness, you do what now? When that person has been very public about it and it's not a secret, and it's like, do you have to subscribe to everyone's newsletters? No. Do you have to obsessively follow them on LinkedIn? No. But if you have been so checked out, you didn't even know that person literally moved to another state, we've got a problem.
Or country.
That's happened a lot recently. So a lot of people who are moving overseas right now, can't say I blame them. But if you don't know that they moved.
I think, like you mentioned, what the email should not look like. This will be, you have the good people know good people, and mine will just be Molly Peck's reach out book. But if you do want to know exactly what to put in those emails, because like you said, it is reciprocal. So you come with gifts. And so the gifts are compliments. And it might also be like, I saw this article and I thought about you. It's a weird little gift, but they will want to reciprocate. And and you can make an ask
Yeah.
or you could wait on your ask. You know, you can just send the compliments, send the I was thinking about you and I saw this. It was so good to chat, and let them gift you back. You'd be surprised by what they will gift you back. But it's this weird feeling, and it is human nature, where if someone gives you a gift, you immediately are like patting your pockets and like looking around the house and be like, okay, what can I give you right now? Because this was unexpected and I don't want to just take from you. I want to give to you.
A gift of words goes so far. Every single person who hits reply on my very, very wordy emails that go out every week, I always reply to them. They always send me thoughtful things. And 9 times out of 10, if they have a question or they want to know about something, I will send them back a whole ass reply. And I'm like, here you go, you know?
And they're so surprised, I would bet. Because that was always what happened with me. And they'd be like, you have the best customer service. And I was like, that was the bare minimum, I thought, was to reply to you.
But if you're willing
Share your wins.
but if you're willing to give some reciprocity in that relationship, and it's not just me sending you things and you're just like, nom nom, I'm eating all the information you're sending me.
Yeah.
And then, and you actually like send back something like this really helped, or like, I like this angle or something. Like, you have no idea how much that helps somebody on the other end. They will, and then they remember you.
Yep. And that's your luck.
It's not magic. It's just work. We need a line of t-shirts now. It's not magic. It's just work.
It's a Debbie Downer response.
Well, this brings us to the end of Premiere Week, but I dare say we are off to a great start. So there will be so many more juicy topics coming up.
That's it for today's episode of The Awkward Handshake.
We record at Sasquatch Media Grounds in Vancouver, Washington.
I'm Megan, co-founder of Fat Cap Design and creator of PDX Spellbound.
And I'm Mary, founder of Sasquatch Media Grounds and Sensible Woo.
You'll find links to everything we mentioned, guests, resources, and ways to connect with us in the show notes on your favorite podcast platform.
That's also where you'll get updates on where we're headed next and when we're inviting listeners like you to join us for guided networking in person and online.
Don't be passive.
Click the links, pick better rooms. We'll see you there.